brain is divided into three major parts. The cerebrum, the largest part of the human brain. The cerebrum enables sensory perception and controls voluntary motor actions. The cerebellum lies inferior to the cerebrum at the back of the head. It is mostly involved in coordination of movements and fine-tuning of motor activities. The brainstem. The brainstem is located at the base of the brain, and it is continuous to the spinal cord. It houses all nerve connection between different parts of the central nervous system. The brainstem provides innervation to the head and neck via the cranial nerves. It also contains nuclei associated with important body functions such as regulation of blood pressure, respiration, swallowing, bladder control, sleep cycle, amongst others. On top of the brainstem, and sometimes classified as part of it, is the diencephalon. The main components of the diencephalon are the thalamus. The thalamus serves as a gateway relaying sensory signals originated throughout the body to the cerebral cortex. It is also involved in emotional and memory functions. The hypothalamus is the major control center of the autonomic nervous system and plays essential role in homeostatic regulation. The hypothalamus links the nervous system to the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. It also contains nuclei involved in regulation of body temperature, food and water intake, sleep and wake cycle, memory and emotional behavior. The cerebrum consists of two cerebral hemispheres. The left hemisphere controls the right half of the body. The right hemisphere controls the left half of the body. The two hemispheres are separated by a deep groove called the longitudinal fissure. Each hemisphere has a number of folds called the gyrus, separated by groups called the sulcus. A major landmark is the central sulcus. The cerebrum has four major lobes. The frontal lobe is situated anterior to the central sulcus. It is associated mainly with voluntary motor functions, planning, motivation, emotion, and social judgments. Posterior to the central sulcus is the parietal lobe. This lobe is mainly concerned with sensory functions of the somatosensory category, such as touch, stretch, movements, temperature, and pain. The temporal lobe is separated from the frontal lobe and parietal lobe by the lateral sulcus. The temporal lobe is associated with hearing, learning, visual memory, and language. The occipital lobe is located at the rear of the cerebrum. This is the visual processing sensor of the brain. At first glance, the two hemispheres look identical, but research has found a number of differences between them. This is called the lateralization of brain function. For example, the language formation areas, the Wernicke's and Broca's areas, are usually located in the left hemisphere of right-handed people. Lesions to these areas result in language comprehension deficits or speech disorders. The corresponding areas in the right hemisphere are responsible for emotional aspects of language. Lesions to these areas do not affect speech comprehension and formation but result in emotionless speech and inability to understand an emotion behind the speech, such as sarcasm or a joke. The human pancreas is a pear-shaped gland which is located in the back of the upper abdomen, somewhat behind and below the stomach. The head of the gland is the widest part and lies in the curve of the duodenum. The gland tapers and extends upwards, ending near the spleen. The pancreas is composed of two types of tissues: the exocrine portion, which secretes digestive enzymes, and the endocrine portion, which secretes hormones. Because of its functionality in both the endocrine and digestive system, it's referred to as a mixed gland. The exocrine portion of the pancreas secretes a pancreatic juice that contains digestive enzymes and bicarbonate. These fluids flows into the small intestine, where it further breaks down carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. Groups of distinct cells called the islets of Langerhans, named after the 9th century German pathologist Paul Langerhans, are scattered more heavily in the tail of the pancreas. The islet of Langerhans are composed of 3 types of cells, the alpha and beta being the 2 primary ones, and the delta being the third. In response to dropping level of glucose, the alpha cell secretes the hormone glucagon, which raises blood glucose levels. The beta cell secretes the hormone insulin. In response to a rising level of circulating glucose, insulin regulates sugar metabolism and helps to maintain normal sugar levels in the blood. A low secretion of insulin can lead to an accumulation of glucose in the blood, a situation known as hyperglycemia, and to the metabolic disorder diabetes mellitus. The delta cell secretes somatostatin, which regulates the release of insulin and glucagon. The pancreas consists of several lobules, each of which contains a group of clustered secretory cells, known as the acinar cells, commonly referred to as acina. The central ducts from the acina unite to form larger ducts, which opens into the pancreatic duct. This connects to the common bile duct and enters to the duodenum. For the summary, the pancreas is known as a mixed gland due to having both exocrine and endocrine functions. The acinar cell secretes pancreatic fluid, the islet of Langerhans secretes hormone, and the alpha cell secretes glucagon, and the beta cell secretes insulin. Muscles are the structures that help in the movement of the bones. There are 639 muscles in the human body. Gluteus maximus is the largest muscle. The smallest muscle is the stapedius, while the longest muscle is the sartorius, and the strongest muscle in the body is the masseter. The elements required for the proper movement of muscles are calcium and potassium. Muscles are mesodermal in origin. However, the iris and ciliary muscles are ectodermal in origin. Muscles have 3 primary functions. Muscle tissue have long cells called the muscle fibers. These have connective tissue cover. However, they don't have a capsule. The plasmalemma of muscle tissue is called the sarcolemma, while the cytoplasm of muscle tissue is called the sarcoplasm. Within this, there are multiple fine myofibrils. Each myofibril is made of a thick and long myosin filament and a thin and short-acting filament. Muscle are of 3 types. These are skeleton muscles, the smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscles. Type of muscles: skeletal or striated or voluntary muscles. These are voluntary muscles present in the hands and legs. They are attached to the bone and help in movement. Smooth or unstriated or involuntary muscles. They are present in the intestine, digestive system, bladder and eyes, These are involuntary muscles. Cardiac muscles, these are present in the heart. Skeletal or stripe or voluntary muscles are usually attached to bones via the tendons. In a typical muscle such as the biceps, skeletal muscle fibers are bundled together in a connective tissue sheet called the endomysium. A bundle of muscle fiber is called the fascicle. The connective tissue sheet connecting it is called perimysium. A group of fascicles form a muscle. The connective tissue sheet covering such as a muscle is called the epimysium. The connective tissue layers that covers the muscle end together, forming a tendon. Smooth or unstriped or involuntary muscles. These muscles are smooth muscles. They are arranged in layers or as tiles. Smooth muscle fibers are enucleate spindle-shaped cells. The thin and thick filaments of smooth muscles are not well organized. Underoriented, such types of muscles are found in blood vessels, respiratory system, bronchi, gastrointestinal tract, intestines, excretory vessels, genitals, and other internal viscera. Therefore, they are called the visceral muscles. They don't have striations. Therefore, they are called smooth muscles. They don't act on our will. Therefore, they are called involuntary muscles. They don't tire and can remain contracted for a long period of time. Cardiac or stripe or involuntary muscles. Like skeletal muscles, it is striped. They form the myocardium of vertebrates. Cardiac muscle cells are short and cylindrical with one or two nuclei. They have joints between them to ensure the conduction of electrical signals throughout the heart. Cardiac muscles have intercalated discs. These discs are the differentiating feature. These contain gap junctions. An excited myocardial cell quickly excites its surrounding myocardial cells and causes a complete cardiac contractions. Due to their cardiac contractions happening uniformly. Therefore, the cardiac muscle is called a functional syncytium, as it has abundant circulation. It undergoes gaseous exchange constantly. Cardiac muscle is involuntary.